Hey guys, it's me again, Mario Rivers. Check this out. I created this resource guide for you. It's got all the tools that I talk about in this course, all the tools that I talk about in my live master classes, and it's available for you to download for free. Now, I'm going to go over almost all of these tools in the course and tell you how I use them and how you can use them in your business. And you don't have to be overwhelmed. You only have to use a few of them. Like I told you earlier, you just really need a computer and your cell phone, and you can make an online business work with that. And I will teach you how to do that throughout this course.
We're going to talk about resources and tools to use. Now, there are so many, as you can see here. How do you know which one to use? We're going to talk about that in this video. First, we're going to talk about video platforms. Obviously, YouTube is the largest of them, and it's also a search engine, and it's very intuitive to use. As you can see in this photo here, you can click any of the share buttons either here, or you can click the share button here, and it's going to simply give you a code that you can copy and paste into any browser, any blog post. You can use it in podcasts. Anyway, you can also embed videos. Very easy. Once you click embed, it's going to give you a code. You simply copy and paste that. Vimeo is a similar tool where it has the same type of capabilities, but I see more professional people using Vimeo. Wistia is a new platform that you can create an opt-in on the video, and it has much better analytics. You can see if people watched 50 seconds, 30 minutes, 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Let's talk about websites and builders. First, you need someone to host it. I recommend Bluehost. It's what I use, and it allows you great storage capabilities. Now, these next four, I've been talking about two of them in this course quite a lot. We'll start with WordPress because it's the #1 platform for blogging and websites in the world. Very easy to use. I use it with Thrivethemes, which I've been also having a bunch of tutorials in this course about because they are both drag and drop easy. I've used Squarespace. I like their modern designs. Very nice to work with. Pretty easy to work with. And then I've used Hostbaby for the last 2 or 3 years. They're limited on these certain things that you can do, but I like Hostbaby because if you're a musician or if you're an author, they give you a way where you can get your products to market very quickly, very professionally, and not to mention every 3 months that you are hosting with them, you get a free music submission. There's a lot more I could say about Hostbaby, but I switched over because there are much more capabilities with WordPress. Let's talk about email service providers. This is how you're going to market to people. I love MailChimp and Drip. I use them both. I've shown you tutorials in this course. There are also others. Infusionsoft is the upper echelon. It's very complicated if you ask me. I like simple. Ontraport, Convertkit, and Constant Contact are others that are used by quite a few people. Pat Flynn uses Convertkit. Amy Porterfield uses Infusionsoft, but it's much more for advanced users. There's a steep learning curve, and it's also very expensive. So you want to go with some of the earlier ones that I mentioned. Let's talk about project management tools. I've given you a crash course on Trello, Asana, and Evernote, and I use all three, but you can just choose one. But you need to use a project management tool so you can document the process for other people you might add to your team a little bit later. Let's talk about online storage. I'll tell you a little story why I added this in here. So maybe one of you can relate to this. You have your computer, you're storing all your pictures and your blog content and your posts and everything you can imagine, all your designs, all your logos, and all of a sudden your freaking computer takes a crap. And then what do? Because everything is stored on its hard drive. And let's say if you can't recover the hard drive from, if you go to Apple or if you take your PC to a repair shop, then what? You have to start all freaking over. I've had to do this multiple times. Very important. Google Docs is free. Dropbox is free up to a certain amount, but it's more than enough to get what you need done. And they have paid versions that are very cheap as well. Online storage is absolutely essential in today's online business landscape. Now, the main two that I'm talking about is Google Drive and Dropbox. And again, these are free. You can use both of these. You can link to documents in there. So say if you wanted to give away a free resource, you could do that through either one of these platforms. I highly encourage you to back up everything on one of these platforms. Let's talk about social media scheduling tools. I've already went over all these tools, Buffer, Hootsuite, and Meet Edgar, but let's talk about Ripl for a quick second. Ripl, you can make videos of static images and they're much more engaging on social media. That's what I use Ripl for. Now let's talk about our money makers, guys, and I'm talking about course creation software. I hadn't used Udemy or Thinkific much. I tried to start Thinkific, but and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I didn't like the learning curve. It seemed a little bit too complicated, or maybe I didn't give it enough time. I'm very, quick. I want it to work quick, and I like that Teachable is very, very easy to use, very user friendly, very intuitive. It's a lot of drag and drop capabilities. You can rearrange your courses very easily. Thinkific, I have some friends that use it. I like the way some of their courses are set up. I just haven't given it enough time to actually see if it's a platform that I want to use. But again, I like to use Teachable because Teachable is free, for one. Now, they do get a larger cut of your course sales, but it's an exceptional tool that I would recommend anybody who's just starting up and you want to create an online course really fast and get it to market. Teachable is your tool. Let's talk about podcast creation tools. This is why I love the MacBook Pros and any Apple products, because they come with GarageBand installed already on the laptop or on the computer, and it's an invaluable tool. I'll get back to GarageBand, but now let's talk about hosting a podcast. I use Libsyn. It's very, very easy to use. It's just basically you drag the file you want from your computer, and I would recommend hosting on somewhere other than your website so it won't affect the speed of your website. And Libsyn is very, very cheap. It does cost some money, but it's only like $5 a month for about 250 megs, which is for me about 4 30-minute episodes. Again, GarageBand and Libsyn are the only two things I use to host my podcast on iTunes. The only two things. Now again, back to landing pages and opt-in creation tools. I've talked about Leadpages and Thrivethemes throughout this course pretty extensively, so I'll get to the ClickFunnels. But I love Leadpages if you can't tell. It's so easy to use. Now, ClickFunnels was created by Russell Brunson, and I've heard a lot of people say good things about it. I don't use it. I love Leadpages, but John Lee Dumas does use it, so it might be something you want to look into. Not to mention that Russell Brunson has so much awesome material, and I just love his vibe. And I have his book Expert Secrets, and that book has some of the most valuable information that I've ever used and implemented in my business, so it's worth taking a look at. I still would recommend Leadpages, but I definitely look at Russell Brunson's books and some of his strategies. Now, I could talk about Canva all day. It's the design software I use. I used to use Photoshop until someone stole my computer, and this is actually how I came across Canva, because I had to find an alternative method of creating, viable designs. I love Canva, very easy to use. They have a lot of capabilities. They have some limits, because obviously you can't go and do specific things like you can in Photoshop, but yeah, A1. Let's talk about Fiverr. Fiverr is where you go when you want to get designs like you're seeing on your screen and you don't have a lot of money or a lot of time. You can work with the designers and you can make small little videos that look professional, like what you're seeing here on the screen, just to give you an edge or give you at least some type of way that you can contend with the big boys. Obviously, if you're in this course, maybe you're not that advanced, maybe you're a beginner and you want to have some of the quality type of content that some of the big boys have. All of these things you're seeing, I paid for with Fiverr, and it costed me $5. Some things are $10, but you can work with the designers, and there's so many opportunities available. If you use this, you can create your own logos, videos, sequences, all type of design things. And then when you make more money, you can hire that professional videographer to come and do your videos. But until then, Fiverr is your tool. In talking about setting up Drift, I'll show you how I use it. Now, I'm on my Drift dashboard, so to set it up, you'll go to Settings, Chat Widget, and then Install, and you just copy and paste this code into your website, and here's what it's going to look like. There's going to be a chat button, and when a person types a message, say something like, "I need help," there's an automatic response and people can submit their issue. This is also another way to build an email list, as they can leave their email address here if they want to be contacted about, an update on what they're asking about. Obviously, if they're on your site and they're asking questions, they're interested in your product, your service, or your niche. And you can use this to your advantage and speak to them in real time. But in the dashboard under conversations, it tells you the time, it tells you where they came from, what page or site they came from, and it has a transcript of all the conversations. It's an awesome addition to a website, and you can even add it on something like Leadpages. There's also an app where you can get messages anytime as well. You simply just have to copy and paste the code that I showed you earlier. And this works particularly well on sales pages, on lead pages. And so, for instance, if someone wanted to buy a book, or say they wanted to buy my course here, or they had a question, they could ask here in real time, and I could close the sale by answering their questions in real time. And this is primarily how I use Drift. It's free up to 100 contacts, and you can check out their pricing as well. But the paid options, you can go so much more into detail as far as targeting and marketing options. It's an awesome tool.